Every damn day.
Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 28, with our great friend Marshall Kelly, also known as Flower Trauma. And we're going to be talking about music and art and the queer experience and mental health and cancel culture and harm reduction and whatever else life throws at us right now. So first of all, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. Yep, I just got up.
So, we described you as a queer musician and artist.
Mm-hmm.
And let's jump into that for a second. You've got a big release coming up?
Yeah, on Sunday, January 30th, I'm dropping a single with my first music video. So the music video will be on YouTube, but the song's just going to be on SoundCloud. I'm really excited about it. I've never had a music video, so
yeah,
I'm super stoked.
So we'll put some links in a little bit to different things that people can follow and watch you. I'm sure Shannon's out there watching and will do it for us. So you kind of, how would you describe your music? What kind of musician? Do you have a genre? Do you?
Yeah, it's so complicated. I think that, like, when I have to describe it, I usually just tell people that I have like big influences, but I don't really think that there's a specific genre I would put it with. Like Ezra always says, electronic erotica. That's the genre that they've created.
Who's Ezra?
That's my twin. My twin is named Ezra, and they're very brilliant. And I don't know, like, we do electronic stuff. We do, I don't know. It's like a mixture of everything. I always tell people it's like if you took a SoundCloud rapper, but their biggest influence was Elliott Smith, that would be me.
Okay. Yeah. I always just ramble off words that I don't know what they really means. Pre-punk, emo, something. I have no idea what I'm talking about. And are you in a band, a group, something with your brother as well, right?
Yeah. So then me and Ezra do, it's called Non-Binary, and that's the two of us, and other people are joining. But right now our producer is Matt Waterman, who was on the show the other day, and he's the most brilliant, amazing, most talented producer.
That was a rerun. I got to get him on for real this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was a new one.
So all right, let's transition into art. How do you describe the art that you produce?
The art I produce, I feel like I don't know how I describe it really. It's really just, I usually just draw these little figures. I know you've seen them. And then I'll just write like words that I think are important with it, or put like a feeling behind it. Like I've done a lot that are like, like a heartbreak feeling or something like that. But for the most part, I usually just try to do like two figures together, so then it's like a connection or something pretty instead of something sad.
And I know I don't want to get on too far of an NFT tangent, but we are talking about NFTs. Are you excited to do that? What are you thinking?
I'm super excited. I think that NFTs are really cool, and I think that it's really important, and I don't know if this is even like the whole point of it at all, because I really don't understand the point of it that much yet, but I like that artists are getting compensated closer to what they deserve. Yeah. And like, I think that was something that was it had never been easy to do, but like when I see like all my biggest inspirations that are visual artists, then, it's like their stuff sells for so much. I mean, they're all dead now though.
Would you say that every artist has like an underlying mission that they're trying to do? Like the artist who did this, they probably have some mission, right? They're trying to show the beauty of Michigan or of nature.
Yeah, I was just talking about this the other day. I think that like the main purpose of life and the only thing that matters after we die is connection. And I think that, like other than that, just being like me and you, we know each other, so we're connected, that you can do that with people. That's why people are sad when their favorite musician dies. That's why people are sad when their favorite artist dies, because you're connected to them through something that came from them that was super important to them. So that's like a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that I like NFTs because you can get behind an artist who has a cause that you start to fund that cause, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you had $1 million worth of NFTs,
Yeah.
are you buying a mansion and a big boat, or are you going to what would you further?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I mean, that's so specific to a person, but I mean, like for me, if I had $1 million, I wouldn't have $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would be very much trying to spread that. And yeah, like with like a mission behind it, then yeah, I mean, like my biggest dream is to put a lot of money into like harm reduction in all different sorts of ways, but also really just like community based, like actually like, oh, like if there's like my friends who have trouble paying rent and stuff, it's like, why would I not?
Right.
Why, if you can afford it, why would you not do it?
That going back to my show I did the other day about poverty, we want to be surrounded with people that are healthy and happy and thriving, and why don't we take care of each other's basic needs a little bit better?
Exactly. And like, why are people so afraid to do it? Like it's like people are actually so scared to lose what they have, even though what they have is infinitely more substantial than what other people have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So harm reduction.
Mhm.
Most people will think of that in terms of like Narcan or needle exchanges, and really in the substance use space.
Mhm.
What's your main, or what's your definition?
I think that harm reduction, I think that it does have a lot to do with, like helping people who are struggling with substance use and stuff. But I think that more like just to get deeper into it, it's like to stop isolating people and like shaming them for whatever it may be. It could have nothing to do with drugs, it could have everything to do with just how you view them as a person, and for whatever reason you think that your judgment is more important than others, and so you isolate a person, you push them away, whether that's like by canceling them or just having something personally wrong with them, and it's just not helpful, or like not supporting someone because you think their decisions don't align with yours, like on things that do not affect your life or affect others' lives. Like it's only affecting their life. You're not taking care of the people because you think the decisions that affect only their life are harmful, but really you're harming them by isolating them into that situation. If you really think that it's dangerous or not good for them, then you're isolating them further.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of opinions about cancel culture.
Yeah.
I am anti-cancel culture for that very reason. You can get canceled for being anti-cancel culture.
Yeah, exactly.
And I, sometimes, I don't know, that it's just so frustrating to me to see somebody who might be causing harm, and us immediately trying to get them out of our community, go cause harm somewhere else.
Exactly.
And if we have that, why can't we help them stop causing harm? Why can't we walk them into a safer space?
Well, no, exactly. I think that, with cancel culture, I don't agree with it either. Like, I think that like I've said this 1,000 times to 1,000 different people, is just like, if you don't agree with the prison system, then you can't agree with cancel culture, because it's the same mindset, and that's to isolate a person and have no rehabilitation. I don't think that anyone should have to be in communication or like have to come into contact at all with someone who's harmed them. I think that's a personal choice, but I also don't think that the harmful person should be isolated, just because then they're just going to go do it again. They're just going to keep doing it. It's just going to be a chain reaction, and they're just going to keep being pushed and pushed. Yeah. And at that point, it's probably going to get worse and worse. It's not going to get better. And there's only one other way to go.
Right.
So I think that, I think that it's really important to actually try to rehabilitate, help these people. Because also, with any harmful thing that anyone does, whether that's, a super small toxic trait to like really, really harmful things to others, then there's like an underlying reason that that's happening. It's not just because, for the most part, it's not just because they were born to be harmful.
Right.
They were probably harmed. There's something happened, and they need to get that healed in them.
Our societies and our systems have caused this, right? They turn this innocent baby into maybe a monster in some cases.
Exactly.
And so I always take ownership for that. I always say we did this to them. And I know it frustrates people because they're like, I had nothing to do with that, or I didn't do that to them. But at the end of the day, you know, a lot of our communities, our society is all stick and no carrot. And what, you know, we try to beat people into conforming with some social norm.
Exactly.
Yet we're not there for them when they need the love and they need, you know, whatever the healing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what are some things you're doing right now in the harm reduction or anti-cancel culture space?
I think, I mean, I could be doing infinitely more. I don't know if I'll always feel that way, but I mean, currently, for the most part, I mean, like at my, when I play a show, I'll always make sure to bring Narcan for sure, and like any other harm reduction supplies that I can bring, like condoms or, you know, toothbrushes, clean needles. But more than that, it's really just talking to people about it. Like I just try to talk to people about it, like in any setting, you know, like I'm like sitting in a room with my friends, I'll be like, so how do you guys feel about this? Like, you know, like just try and see if we're all on the same page. And I think that it's a lot, like what I've noticed, it's all the people who have been there for me, like the most, you know, who like I would consider like the most sympathetic and empathetic people in my life are usually the people that are like on the same page, where it's like, okay, yeah, like, you know, we need to help other people. Like there's no reason to let harm keep happening, you know, like, and I think, I don't know, it also comes from like, you know, like a place of like no judgment, and there's so many things that go into it. I don't even know how to like put it all into words, but I think that for the most part, it's talking to people about it and trying to see if their perspective can be at least like a little bit changed so that they can practice like being there for other people who need it, and like not letting those people feel ashamed or guilty.
How does this relate to the queer experience for you, whether it's cancel culture or harm reduction, or even music and art?
I think like it all really does go together in my brain, but I think with the queer experience, harm reduction in every different way is really important, because a lot of queer people are struggling, or, you know, like pushed out of their families, or, you know, like they're like, you know, their friends don't want to talk to them anymore when they come out or something, you know. And then, you know, I mean, we're super lucky to live where we do, because it's like everyone's queer. Like, it's like, I mean, like not everyone, but like half the Eastside is like, it's just a huge queer community, and like I'm super lucky to be so involved in that. But a lot of people don't have that in other spaces, you know. So I feel like that's you wouldn't believe how many people I've met, and I'm just like, how did you ever even hear about Lansing? Like, why did you move here? Like I was born here, you know. So and a lot of them are like queer people who moved here to get away from, you know, like they're like small town in Ohio, or they're small town in Kentucky, and to like find that safety net. And then like that's almost like the harm reduction itself is that, you know, like you have people around you that are like you, that want the best for you, that don't want you to be different than you are, that want you to feel proud of who you are instead of ashamed.
And, you know, I often think about, so we have the Refugee Development Center. Lansing is a refugee resettlement zone in the nation. And I often think about the queer refugees that come from like a Dansville or a Grand Ledge or whatever, and they're escaping violence, they're escaping threat and fear and all of these things. And I wonder, because we are so used to accepting new people that don't look like us, that don't have the same food as us, that have different thoughts of us, if we've had exercise and we're practiced at it, and it makes the queer community feel more welcome here. And now it's massive, so it just attracts. Now it's like a planet.
No, I had a friend the other day from like she lives down near Detroit, and she was saying to me like, oh yeah, you know, like people know Lansing, like other people in Michigan know Lansing as like a queer community, like like, you know, I mean, it's like how everyone thinks about like Saugatuck or, you know, like, and like, I thought that was crazy because I think being from here too, like I don't understand how anyone else views it, you know, like when I was
Well, we're
living,
fish in water.
yeah,
right?
you know,
So
exactly.
we can't really tell that.
Yeah, but I thought that was really cool, and I don't know, I do think that Lansing is like a really good spot, and it's really nice to like hear when people do come here and just be like, wow, like, okay, yeah, like, you know, like we do have something really special, and just like a really tight knit community that like does care about each other.
I think that, you know, if I say the Refugee Development Center and the Afghanistan refugees or Afghani refugees, I say the avenue and everything that Colleen's created over there is the Refugee Development Center of the queer refugees.
No,
Is
it
that
definitely
fair?
is. Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I feel, I mean, the avenue is like the best thing I feel like that's happened to like any queer person in Lansing. like, I don't know, when me and Ezra started going there when we were 18, because it used to be 18 plus, it wasn't 21 plus. And I just remember when we started going there, I was like, oh my God, like everyone here is so amazing. Like everyone here is so nice. And like we were not liked in high school. And, you know, like, so it was like, wow, this is only 10, 15 minutes from my high school, you know, like, and everyone here thinks that I'm cool. You know, like they think that I'm not like the most annoying lame person, you know. Like it was like just so shocking, like to be like, wow, like we're actually like appreciated here, you know.
Yeah. And you know, Luna, I'm not gonna put it, I mean, yeah, I'll put it in Dansville in middle school. They spray painted that I was a FAG on the side of my school. This was my escape for sure. So sorry about that, Luna.
I'm sorry, Luna.
Luna's going to be on the show on Sunday, everybody. So that's going to be a
I
good
love
show
Luna.
too. And you know, Shannon said, "I love you, son."
I love you so much, Shannon. I miss you.
And Shannon's sitting there. Oh shit, Jerry's going to come out on the show today. So mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does all this start to wrap around that, or I don't know, entangle with that?
Yeah, I mean, with it's super. It all leads to one another because it's like, I mean, without harm reduction, then mental health issues are just going to get worse and worse, and without safe spaces and you know, like harm reduction within the queer community, then those people are going to get more mentally ill as well. Because I mean, like it's all of this shit is necessary because of, you know, like isolating people and making them feel ashamed is not making people feel welcomed or like they're free to be who they are. And I don't know, it's just that's really the basic line of it is like, I mean, if people feel like they're not accepted and that they're not appreciated and that they're worthless, then obviously, you know, like then you're never going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel so alone and isolated. And it's like it's a serious issue because, you know, you don't want anyone to feel like that ever. And like, that's the same thing we were saying with like cancel culture and everything, you know, is like, it's like, if we're isolating people, they're going to act out. Like there's going to be more harm done than there is removed.
Yeah.
So with mental health, I mean, it's really, I think, you know, like I focus a lot on mental health issues just because I struggled with it for so long. But if you don't have community and you don't have things like there to reduce harm that you could do to yourself, then you're not going to be able to work through those things, you know, like, because there's a lot of healing and shit that does need to go into everyone's experience. Like all of us, I mean, not all of us, I guess, but
all of us.
Yeah, I guess like all of us had, you know, like something traumatic in our childhood, whether like no matter how big or small other people view what that was, that's the worst, you know, that's like the thing that's affecting you now. Or, I mean, you know, in your late teens and your early adulthood, whatever.
Last week.
Yeah, it's just constant. So like we need to be focused on it so that we can work through it instead of letting it get worse and worse. Because then that's why people have the issues that they do with attachment and vulnerability and stuff like that. Like,
I think that, you nailed it with the connection thing. I always say that connection is the opposite of everything bad. So if you are using, the more connections you have, then one, you've got this diverse crowd in front of you that one of them has Narcan, one of them has safe needles, one of them has a connection at a rehab facility, one of them has a place for you to live. And as we take people away from your connections in your community, you take opportunity to change and heal and whatever away.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, I mean, with connection, it's literally, again, the only thing that will matter after we die. The absolute only thing. That's why it's so important now. And I mean, for anyone, like, I mean, if you're struggling or if you're not, I mean, everyone's struggling in their own way, but I mean, from the smallest amount to the biggest amount, you need that connection so that, like you said, like you have all these resources in front of you because of your connection. And I mean, that's actually the only reason that life matters. It's the only reason. The only reason it would matter if I died right now is because you care about me and because Shannon cares about me and my parents care about me and Ezra, like if none of you knew me and none of you cared about me, it wouldn't matter.
We are your parents.
Oh yeah.
Those other parents. Yeah. So, as you, I'm thinking about continuums right now, right? Because we all have our things, right? But some of them are more horrific, more violent, more harmful than I think others. And I think that harm reduction really works within that continuum, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all have different solutions or what have you.
Yeah.
What do you think about cancel culture in the continuum? Because some people are like, cancel them right now. And I have a very wide tolerance, but I still probably have a level. If they're hurting little kids and stuff like that, I'm going to be like, let's try to find a way where we don't have to cure them and we still stop it. And that's going to be violence on our side, probably. Or cancel doesn't work. Yeah. You got to solve the problem one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like there's like a line when it comes to it where it's just like, okay, like I'm not gonna be the person that's gonna go and like rehabilitate someone who's hurting children or, like something like that. Like, but there's, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Is like, I mean, like, I guess then it just like comes down to like there being either people who are willing or some sort of system that we can have those people be held accountable and have those people get rehabilitated without there being the, like people who could also be harmed in the process. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really know exactly what that looks like.
Well, I mean, you jump to, let's lock them up and then let's give them treatment while they're locked up. But now we can't afford the treatment. So let's just lock them up and not have treatment.
Yeah.
And
and then they die.
Yeah. And it's the prison system that we were talking about earlier. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit tactics. Okay. And let's talk to the crowd. What if somebody... Let's start with you were queer for a long time. You didn't talk about that. You didn't do anything about that. Yeah. And your family had a reaction to that. And I don't want to out anything with that. Yeah. But it's difficult, right? What do you recommend for parents? Get on their side for a second. What's the best thing a parent should do?
When their kid comes out?
Yeah.
I mean, really just accept and support them. I think for me also, coming out as trans especially, like I basically I tried to also view it from a parental perspective, which, you know, is like, okay, like my daughter is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like she still exists, but she's not her anymore.
Right.
You know? And I think that it's fair for people to an extent to have, you know, like to struggle with that and to feel like a little bit heartbroken, because I mean, being a parent, you know, it's like, okay, like I picked my child's name, you know, and it's like, I mean, now they're grown, and so you don't get to make those decisions for them anymore. But I think that, I mean, you need to come forward with acceptance and love and support, because or else they're just going to go down. They're not going to trust you. You know, I mean, and that goes with anything. Like if someone tells you anything that is hard for them to admit,
mm-hmm.
and you react in a bad way, you know, like you like get angry with them or whatever, they're never going to tell you that again. It's over. Like you just ruined it.
Right.
And that's literally, I mean, that's a split second of your entire life that you have the chance to make the right or wrong decision,
Yeah.
You know?
Do you, well, a couple of things here. One is you knew for a long time.
So
Is that true?
It's complicated. It's like me and Ezra talked about it our whole lives. Like, I mean, starting at 2 years old, like we were raised Catholic. We prayed to God every night that we would wake up boys every night together. And so, I mean, one, I was super lucky to have someone to go through it with. And two, we didn't know it was possible. We didn't know that you could be trans. But it took me honestly a long time, I think, to figure it out. So that's where it's weird, is like, I knew that I was a boy, but you kind of just repress it because you're like, well, like, you know, like, I guess I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
And then when I got a little bit older and started learning about more, you know, like being trans and just being queer in different ways, it took me a long time to realize that I liked, that I liked girls, or that I liked anyone who wasn't just a cis boy. And then it was like kind of me accepting that. I think that an issue was that we were asked our whole lives.
Yeah.
I don't think you should ask kids if they're queer. I think if they tell you, then you should just accept it. But you shouldn't ask them, because I do think that was damaging to me. I think that made me repress it more, because it felt like a negative thing that they were asking me. Like they'd be like, "What, are you gay or something?" Like, and kids would ask
implication in it.
Yeah, like, and kids would ask us that, and adults too. Like adults would ask my parents when we were like 4 years old,
right,
if we were gay. You know, and it's like, dude, like they're 4 years old, and so I think that there's problems, and I don't even think it was inherently malicious or anything for people to be asking us that, but also there was the negative connotation that came with it that then I think made us repress it for really long. And then it was kind of like a waking moment, just being like, no, we've known this. Like, what are we doing? Why are we wasting our time? It's been 18 years of life together, and we know what we want.
Yeah.
Ezra came out before I did, though. I think that helped me too.
Did you get questions immediately after that were similar to those other questions? Like, are you trans too? Are you queer too?
Yeah, a lot of people, right when, so we came out as queer at the same time, but then Ezra came out as trans a year and a half before I did.
Okay.
And so when we came out as queer, then like it was just whatever. Like I started dating a girl, and then Ezra started dating, you know, it was like whatever. And then when Ezra came out as trans, then I also had never heard of non-binary. And so then I asked them a lot of questions, and I was like, so like, you know, like, because me and Ezra never referred to each other as our birth names.
Yeah.
Ever. We would call each other babe. Always. Like, I'm sure you remember that. We never called each other by our names.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I thought you called everyone babe or something, but I was wrong, wasn't I?
But we, I asked them a lot of questions, and then when you're a twin, it's kind of difficult, because then people are like, oh, like, are you, like, people basically will accuse you of copying what your twin does, when really, like, I'm sorry, we're identical twins. We literally were one being before we were two.
Genetically
we are
matched.
Genetically the same. Oh. Yeah. And like, and then Ezra told me one day while we were driving there, it's like, I just need you to know that if you feel this way too, I would never think that you were copying me. And I think that pushed me really to be like, okay, I can't accept this. And I'm not just like thinking that this might be me because it's them, and it's like a imposter syndrome, like you're like, oh God, we're so similar, but I don't,
And imposter syndrome is such a beast. I want to go to something, and it's going to lead into my next question. Luna said the name change seems to be really hard for them, in my experience with mine and friends or parents.
Mm-hmm.
And you call that the dead name, right? Sometimes the dead birthday, right? And so if we're using that word,
mm-hmm.
is there a mourning period, like mourning, like MOURNING, that the family went through or goes through, or do they not recognize that they're going through that?
I mean, it depends on the family, but I think that it's really hard for a parent. I mean, like my mom looked forward to naming me what she named me, like always. Like she's like, and I still, I kept my initials the same specifically, because also I started going by my initials before I changed my name.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not gonna, like be like, oh, like why do they call you MK if your name is Alex? But I think that there is a mourning period, because I mean, like even people ask you all the time, like, oh, like I mean, like growing up, I remember people would always be like, oh, like if you had a kid, what would you name it? Like that's like a big thing that people enjoy doing, is picking their kids' names, like.
Well, there's probably people in high school writing down their potential kids' names.
Exactly.
Right now.
Yeah. And like, I
Not
think
because they're pregnant, but
I think changing also just what you refer to someone as, a lot of people struggle with, but especially when it's your kid, because like you're like, oh, like, no one's known you longer than your parents. No one's been as connected to you for that long as your parents.
Right.
I mean, for the most part. And so I think there is like a grieving, like a mourning process of that person. I do think that there is. I think that it's, this might be an unpopular opinion in the like queer community, but I think it's kind of fair. Like I don't blame my parents for having a hard time transitioning what they call us and stuff like that.
See, it's better than the opposite, though, right? Get away from me for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And now you've lost your parents. You've lost the connection to your family.
Mm-hmm.
It's on that continuum of that harm reduction and the connection.
Exactly. And I mean, like, I don't know. To me, I'm just like, I don't really mind that much anymore. I think that when I first started transitioning, it like really, really bothered me. Like if I got misgendered or stuff like that. And I don't think that anyone should, like, I'm not saying that everyone should just let it be easier, because it's not how it is. But for me, like if like my family or like any of my friends or anything like misgender me or something like that, like I really don't make a big deal about it. I'm just like, whatever. Like I look at me, like, I'm like, if I walk into a gas station, no one thinks I'm a girl.
I tried really hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I made mistakes. Yeah. And, I'd say things like, oh, I'm so sorry, and all of that. So now I'm making you respond to me, and make me feel better. I'm sorry. And I learned later the better thing to say is thank you, and move on, and like, not make the big, hey, oh my God, and it's all about me now.
No, exactly. I mean, it's like being corrected on anything, like you should be more thankful for being educated than feel sorry for feeling ashamed, which I mean, like I get, obviously I've misgendered people before. I've like messed up and called my friend their dead name or, stuff like that. And I get it. I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, and like, I think also half of that is because I know how it feels from their perspective. Cause it's crazy. It is weird. Like how disconnected you get from that person, but also like me and Ezra were talking about recently, like how much you still love those people that you were, like you feel bad for them that they were trapped inside, like what you want it to be. So I think that responding with thank you is definitely better, because it, it's not that you inherently were trying to be harmful. You just had a moment of, you made a mistake, See,
I never made a mistake on your names, because, except for confusing you two. But that was the point, is that I confused you two before. And so I never used your names. Hey, the
kid.
one who can skate good. Come here. So let's leave our community
Mm.
with one simple thing they could do today to promote harm reduction or to reconnect with someone.
Great. I think, I mean, just like a very base level is you can tell anyone if you're close with them, if you haven't talked to them in a while, anything that you care about them and that you're thinking about them, ask them what's going on in their life. That's, I mean, just the most basic.
Do you have anybody you want to say that to?
I love you, Shannon. I love you, B. I love you, Luna. Oh, I didn't even know Zero's watching. I love you, Zero. Honestly, just everyone watching. Like, everyone deserves to be loved, and I think everyone should, be working towards more.
And I love y'all too. And I think about you all the time. And I hope we start taking care of each other better.
Yeah.
Basic needs, harm reduction,
Yeah.
connection,
Mhm.
music and art and culture, of
Yeah.
course, and thriving in our diverse community that thinks different and smells different and looks different and all the great things
Yep.
that come with that diversity.
Yep.
I love you too.
I love you.
And I appreciate you coming on the show. That is a wrap for every damn day. You want to take us out with any? Oh, we get a hug.
Yeah.
You want to take us out with anything in particular?
January 30th, Sunday, my music video and my single drop. It's called Fallen Angel. I'll be posting it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that. You can follow me at Flower Trauma with a V instead of a U. I know it's confusing, but that's it. But we love you guys.
See y'all. Thank you.